just a little. Welcome to the T2 Tile Project School Pageant, the multicellular menagerie. One brief announcement in fairness to all participants. Your mouse buttons are now disabled until the show is over. Let's get right into it. So first up, we have the second and third grade classes present The Adventures of McSlash on the T2 Tile. Now, the folks that were watching the live stream saw a longer version of this just now. It starts out okay, the slash heading up and to the right, up and to the right. But, you know, the fact is, anything that reproduces is going to start running into itself, start getting crowding up, so those two things have collided. Yeah, so I let this run for a long time. This is where it ends up. This is an example of what we would call not clean living. So, all right, and that is the second and third graders. Good enough, yes. The fourth and fifth grade class present McBackslashy face on the T2 matrix, actually taking advantage of some of the learnings from the other ones. This ends up having a lot of the same problems, but cleans up better. And now into the, there we go, backslash. Takes quite a while for the segments to pair up, but then they hold pretty well. This one down here looks good, but in fact it's messed up. There's lots of problems here. But again, so these guys have collided, but they clean up. These guys have collided, but they clean up, etc. Live together, die together. Okay. That is McBackslashy face. And finally, the sixth grade class presents their design project. Lil Di owns MFMS, and this is running on the simulator because they didn't have quite enough time to get onto the T2 matrix. Looks just like McSlash, but wait. There we go. The four cell little die. It's actually a big die, and it's trucking. It's trucking pretty well. It's beating its head against the edge of the universe at the moment, but then it heads east. And I think this is pretty interesting, actually. So these dark lines, this in the simulator, those are the simulated intertile connections, and they cause trouble. And we'll see this thing's about to head west. and it bobbles around and messes up and so forth quite a bit. But then when it gets into the meat of this tile, just take a look at this. It's pretty smooth. It's nice, and then it messes up again when it gets to the inner tile. So that is it. The first half multicellular challenge succeeded 1 month late. I will take it. So these were the goals for today. Multicellular menagerie. All right. Artificial life conference talk success. I'll talk about that. New video on the Dave Ackley channel. I'll talk about that. Everyday fun. I did not too badly, but everyday would be a little bit too strong. Okay. So today, multicellular menagerie, we saw it. I have to talk about the cheat report, and it really comes down to one issue: physics, too much physics, bringing physics to a biology fight. So the idea is that stuff that's physics cannot be changed without rebuilding an entirely new universe, whereas stuff that's biology is much more soft. It's just arranged the bits in a certain pattern. You could change the bits. So the biology is like programmable, whereas the physics is like firmware, hardware, like that. And so there's too much physics going on. So for example, this is just a bunch of gobbledygook, but it's part of little die, actually. It's die-seq number 4, that's diamond sequence. There's a collection of information about each diamond in a multicellular creature has some number. Number 4 in little die is the north diamond, and it's actually the leader. So M leader is equal to true, and this is its life plan. Last time that was its boot operations or something like that. But then I realized that so the WN, NNNN, lowercase, those are instructions that just this diamond is supposed to do, and that is to help get it up above so that the diamond it's supposed to get next to when it's first created will be there. But then the uppercase ones, this is the new thing, those are commands to the entire organism. We're all supposed to go west for up to 5 on the timer, then south, then west. Now for 7 on the timer, we're supposed to go north, east, south, west. And that's exactly what we saw. Little die, north, east, south, and west. And that's all hard-coded and not satisfying in the bigger picture. But again, it's right to make it physics first and then say, how could we take that information, boil it down, encode it in some kind of little instruction set, and try to pack it into the ancestor chain itself. So I'll take it for now. I don't think I want to try to publish it in Nature yet, because too much physics. Education and outreach. So this is a photograph from Emily Dolson, who was in Sapporo, Japan for the Artificial Life Conference, unlike me, because we're still not traveling. So I was doing the talk via Zoom, and this is what it looked like from her seat. It's not too bad, actually. And I was using all my learnings from these T2sday updates. Giant font, max screen, all of this stuff. Now my research talks are just T2sday updates with more jargon. Basically. And, I think it worked out okay. And so it ended up producing not 1, but 2 videos on the Dave Ackley channel. So that's why I was able to check off the goal for this time. This one was the folks that were doing this summer school thing sent me a request to make this little video about answering these 3 questions in 10 minutes. And so I did it. And then this is the talk. That we just saw on the screen. So, I more than satisfied the requirement of having a video on the Dave Ackley channel, but it wasn't what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a new standing created video to go on the Dave Ackley channel, but what the heck, I will take it. So the Sapporo conference was the first in-person artificial life conference since 2019, and I wasn't there, and the online component wasn't all that great in some respects, but that's what happens. It's not as social. But they had this thing called NeuroMatch, where if you wanted to, you could answer these 5 questions on a web thing, and then they would match you according to some secret algorithm. And they had an in-person version of it, so that you'd be matched with 3 or 4 people, and you were supposed to go talk to the people in your group and figure out why you were matched together. They also had online versions where they were matching together online people, but it was like 2 a.m. Or something like that. The afternoon in Sapporo is like 2 a.m. In Mountain Time, and so when we got to do the online version of it, I was the only one in my online group who showed up, and most of the other online groups, which we could see in Discord, were empty too. But there were a few scattered around, so we all just made our own group that were not neuro-matched at all. We were just the one actually showed up. And so I met this guy, Andrew Kucheravi, and we had a great conversation. He's interested in computational systems biology, distributed algorithms, all of this stuff. So I think the NeuroMatch could probably do about as good a job as it did just by random matching. And it's a really good idea just to take the social impetus so nobody has to walk up to anybody, especially in the online circumstances, because there's something else to do it. So that was fun. All right, and then there was this. The T2 Tile project is an award winner. It received the 2023 ISAL, International Society for Artificial Life, Award for Education and Outreach. And I just had to make this up. There's no proof of this yet, but apparently there will be a blog posting on alife.org sometime soon. But I swear, it really happen. And this was the citation for the 2022 Education and Outreach Award, and I sort of imagine that it'll probably be the same, to recognize the authors of an outstanding project that either teaches about artificial life or uses artificial life techniques to teach about another topic or inspires users to learn more on their own. So does the T2 Tile project do that? Maybe some. Maybe a little bit of all of it. What do you think? I made a button. I'm happy. We'll take some recognition because it proves to me once again. All right, so that's education and outreach, and so finally, the multicellular challenge is now done, and so what's going to be the plan for the rest of 2023? What's the plan for the T2 Tile project in general? Well, so this is what I figured out. I want to talk about it a little bit. These are the goals for next time. I want to have a living computation video out on the Dave Ackley channel. I have a plan for that, and so I need to put a deadline on it. And so the deadline will be the next T2sday, even though it's not really exactly T2 Tile related. It's more general. But, I think it counts in the bigger picture. I need to work on the tools. I need to work on the Stream Deck button stuff, and I want to try to work on MFMS because, I've been using it a lot, and there's just a couple of features that I really, really wish it had that maybe I could get 1 or 2 of them in there. And basically, I want to push back from ULAM, from multicellularity, from all this. I just want to decompress for a little while because I'm a little burned out. This multicellular stuff was really hard. And, there was an important step in the middle where I got the parallel threading going, which sped up the builds a lot, like from 8 minutes plus to 2 minutes plus, that sort of thing, which helped a ton. But it was all a lot. So I'm going to hack on other stuff and so forth, and hopefully have some good big fun. I'm really looking forward to trying to get this video out. So that is it. I went quick, and so be it. I thank you folks for showing up for the award-winning T2 Tile project. Doesn't look so good. No text on text. And I hope to see you in the Discord and here next time. All right. Well, so that was quick. So be it. All right. So once again, I guess I will stop the recording and go on around. Uh, um, and stable dynamic configuration, stable ordered chaos. Uh, um, so David Kiersey, that's the all the top halves of the McSlashes all crowded in the corner. Yeah, pretty pretty sad. But people were asking at some previous time about when I have mentioned clean living before and what was clean living or not clean living. Well, there's an example of what's not. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the air conditioning back on because it's August, and get the thing rendering, and then we'll probably be done. But I'll check back in and see if anybody's still hanging around. Okay, that's it for now. Yeah, that tile has a really marginal touchscreen that I think basically when it gets hot, it clicks itself on the left-hand side, which brings up the log menu, which sort of really does blow the illusion, doesn't it? What it reminds me of is 100 years ago when I was learning on the Deck 10. Yeah, so that there I fixed it myself. I've been out of town. Well, yeah. And so I just, clicked it back to the sights display and it was fine, but then it goes wrong again. And actually, you can't see it, I don't think, in this time-lapse presentation. But at one point in this video, I actually replaced that tile, and it actually worked. And the only reason it worked is because at the time, there were no diamonds near it. It was just all empty space, and empty space is the only case where you can actually power down neighbors and bring things back up again, because there's no pending events. If there are pending events, things just crash storm and so forth. I have never revisited that code. So there, it went bad again. Yes. So this is before I replaced it. Now it's kind of weird though. I mean, maybe it was in the next run that I replaced it. I'm not sure. I wouldn't think, now that it's got all these headless or bottomless heads bouncing off each other, it doesn't really look like that area is ever going to be. I don't think I replaced it then. I was just trying to examine what was going on there. That was the T2 tile display. Everybody showing that, so I could see the temperatures on the tiles. But maybe it does clear out enough that I was able to replace it later. I'm not sure. And I'm not completely clear why these guys. Well, I guess I know. I think there was a case in here. I mean, I know I've seen cases elsewhere, but I think there's a case that might be visible here in the multicellularity stuff, where there were two. I think they were slashes, so I think it's in here someplace. And an above slash and a below slash crashed into each other, so the bottom of the top one and the top of the bottom one got wedged together and locked up, and they erased themselves, leaving a top and a bottom, which actually met up with each other and essentially did, crossover, essentially did like sexual reproduction, because, it was the top half of one organism and the bottom half of another organism. But when they found each other, the edge types matched up, and they were like, oh, great, I'm a complete multicellular creature again. And they just went on about actually having their life. Now, in this case, the code in the top and the code in the bottom is all the same, and there's no there's no integration of the two codes that would cause the fact that two pieces of different organisms got put together. But it happened. That's the point from my purposes, is that it actually that's the sort of thing that would lead to literal accidental evolution, stuff like that, because the underlying architecture is not deterministic, because the underlying architecture is best effort. Eventually, problems in the underlying architecture or problems in the software, just like these guys deadlocking, will cause things to happen that were not engineered in by me. They were not put in as part of the intentional, like, all genetic algorithms research since John Holland, where you explicitly go call your pseudo-random number generator in order to make mutations and crossover positions and so on. Instead of that, They are just happening because the best effort underlying architecture lets certain errors that we don't know in advance, we cannot predict in advance, it's best effort, protrude up into the software space, and this would be the biology space, and cause unplanned things to happen. I mean, there's already plenty of unplanned things happening, but none of it is at the level of being being biologically interesting, like that. All right, and then that's it. So they just they just sit there, bouncing off the western edge of the universe, the southwestern edge of the universe. Why the southwestern edge of the universe? I mean, because one aspect of these multicellular creatures is that each diamond has a drift direction. Can I actually bring that up? If I get the slides back. Maybe I could. This one. Right. So here, dvec is the drift vector. And this is, again, all part of the subsumption architecture, again, that if we don't have anything else to do, if we don't have to get out of the way of something that might be crashing into us and so on and so forth, what are we supposed to do? Well, one thing is to follow the life plan, but that may run out, or it may not be applicable for whatever reason. So then there's the backstop of the final one is the drift vector. So die sequence number 4 in little die, since die sequence 4 is the north part of the little die diamond, it plus y is down, so it drifts downwards because it's hoping to catch up again with the east and west ones over it, and other ones have appropriate drift vectors to try to close them back up again. So in particular, the MC/ upper piece drifts slowly to the southwest in order to meet up with the lower part of the MC/, which should be to its southwest, and if it's not, the whole just keeps going until it hits the southwest edge of the universe. And there's a bunch of other new stuff too. This MGH is the growth habit. We've got actually have, well, there are some demos, some that I didn't really point it out. But for example, when the what the heck, we can take a couple of minutes, can't we? Would that be this one? Well, that'll do. So there, look at that. So those two things are growing in a coordinated fashion. Now, how does that happen? That does not come for free. And basically the way it works is one of the cells is designed to say, I want to be the same size as the cell to my southwest, because it knows the size of the neighboring cell. The edges know the size of the neighboring cell, because that's part of what they need in order to servo properly so they know how to line up. So one's growth habit says, I want to be the same as my southwest, and the southwest says, I want to be one bigger than my northeast. So they get into this race where northeast tries to catch up, and then southwest gets one bigger, and then northeast tries to catch up, and they go boop, 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 until they get up to the size that splitting happens, and that's the end of that story. And this, in this case now, these things are all staying small because that's what they're designed to do. They're designed to stay small. I actually have yet another species called MC Big Die that is supposed to do the same thing that Little Die does, except after moving around for a while, it's supposed to settle down and grow until its 4 radius 16, so radius 18 is where they split. So 16 is about as big as they can get without splitting. So I was trying to make a really big die, and actually it's kind of working. Except big die is growing extremely slowly. I mean, it's grown like once, and it's the same trick. So the one at the bottom is the leader in the growth in this case. So it grew once, and then the northwest did, and the northeast, and then the north. grew once, and now the bottom one hasn't grown again yet, and it's been running on MFMS for hours and hours. I was hoping to show a fourth species, MC Big Die, but it looks exactly the same little die at the moment. So anyway, yeah, accidental evolution is tough. I mean, you need enough. You need lots and lots of instances. You need lots and lots of stuff that will successfully reproduce, and then stuff that will fail to reproduce. Yeah, I mean, I thought growing slow was kind of cool, actually, except, I wanted to show it in T2sday update, and it was not going to happen. But it's another example of the whole self-stabilizing idea where you have in the subsumption architecture, the Rodney Brooks subsumption architecture idea, where you have these layers of activities, like don't crash into things, and if that's not a problem, then try to follow the life plan, and if that doesn't say anything, then follow the drift vector, and so on, where each upper layer only gets to have a chance if there's nothing more important going on. But if it is from the point of view of the lower level says, well, I don't care. You have free will. It says to the upper level, do whatever you want. It all looks good to me. Or it provides some degree of constraint, like don't go west, but otherwise I don't care. That kind of thing. And so when I designed Big Die, MC Big Die, it was the same thing. The growing option is one choice when there's nothing more important to do. But as it turns out, because I'm not completely sure if this is true, but for some reason, in the 2-cell cases, it works pretty well. And the growth option pops up with enough odds that they grow reasonably quickly. But with I think basically what happens is with the 4-cell thing, there's always some jostling going on. So there are low levels of warnings. We're a little bit close to our northwest. It's really okay, but maybe we should go east or south. Stuff like that. And as a result, in the palette of stuff there is to do, there's a bunch of other probability, a bunch of other stuff that starts taking the odds. So the one little lonely vote on, I think we should grow, doesn't win very often. Whereas when you only got 2, there's less noise coming from synchronization tasks, servoing the tasks to keep the creatures together. So as a result, Big Die grows really, really slowly. We'll see. Maybe we'll get a chance to see it grow next time or something. I don't know. All right. Well, that's all I got. Messenger RNA gives you the diversity. Cell just needs to survive the invasions. Yeah. Our little dies are so simple. So simple compared to all the machinery of real actual cellular life that it's hard to even begin to guess what the analogs would be. I mean, these MC killers, they're nasty. I mean, if they see an edge on a cell that has a tag on it, meaning it's supposed to be connected to a matching edge on another cell, they just blow right through and look for that other tag, and they'll go quite a ways. And so there are certainly cases that I've seen when I was debugging anyway, where neighboring cells got killed like that. And sorry, you were just too close to this messed up thing, and when the messed up thing decided to go, it took you with it. So even if there isn't the evolutionary stuff, well, it's just a matter of degree. It's just a matter of degree. All right. Well, thanks, David, in particular, for chit-chatting. Uh, um, and I guess I will wrap up the stream and see folks in September. Time goes awful fast. All right. Well, no, and all right. I like my fade button. I'm gonna fade out again.